All right, so while that's loading, our next speaker is Dr. Xumin Zhang, and he will be presenting on relating knowledge and perception of sustainable landscape practices to the adoption intention of Florida-friendly landscapes.
Sorry about that. So it seems we have some phone issues. So I'm excited to be back, and then thank you so much for having me today. So let's switch our focus a little bit to this homeowner, and then this is one of the papers I worked with Dr. Haik regarding the homeowner's preference for this landscape, sustainable landscape. So today I'm trying to show you some of the results that we try to relate the homeowners' knowledge and then their perception regarding this sustainable landscape to the adoption of, let's say, the FFL, or let's say the sustainable landscape practice. So I think it's a traditional landscape. Everyone knows that you guys are the experts, save me a lot of time. So we all know that the negative consequence over irrigation, the chemical runoff, the pollutions, right? So one of the solutions we try to promote the sustainable landscape practice, for example, like FFL, and then that we have actually we are aware about this turf grass swap programs, those incentive programs. So we try to convert or convince the homeowners to convert the turf grass loans to partial turf grass and then partial plant areas. So in that sense that we have studied the consumer preference, and then we try to link their landscape preference with the sustainable landscape features. So this study, we try to address that, also examine that the homeowner's skill, knowledge, and then also their perception regarding this sustainable landscape practice. And then also we try to find out that their value orientation, environmental beliefs, and then those consideration for the social norms, consideration for the future consequence. We're seeing that in the restraining of the adoption decision. So very specific for this study, we try to link their knowledge and then their perception regarding this the sustainable landscape practice to the adoption of FFL. So we asked a couple questions. We have this, let's say that including a couple variables. The first one is that the wellness of this sustainable landscape practice or those programs. And then the second is about their knowledge regarding those sustainable landscape. And then that we also included the perception. So to the perception of this the sustainable landscape practice, whether this may affect their adoption decision. And also we included several social demographics into this study. So we did the survey, and then we collect around 1,220, let's say, responses. And then pretty much you can see that this is quite a fit with the Florida census data. So quickly, let me directly go to the results. Since this is one of the several papers, and then this one is this paper is pretty straightforward. And then we use, since this the likelihood adoption is like a 7 Likert scale. So we use it as a dependent variable. And then also we have, choose those awareness, knowledge, perception as this explanatory variable. So as you can see, created the awareness, whether they are aware of FFL, the FYN, and then also the Florida Water Stop Program. And then also we included the knowledge levels regarding this sustainable landscape practice, soil, irrigation, fertilizer, those knowledge. And also we included several of the perceptions regarding this sustainable landscape practice, which including that the FFL appearance, the FFL also like the irrigation restrictions, and then also this fertilizer restrictions. So the results showed us like quite interesting, in my opinion, that the awareness, it has quite, let's say that the significant effects, marginal effects. If we measure this as the marginal effects, we will see this awareness of FL, YN, and then this Florida Water Start Program, they will increase their adoption decision by 1.5%. Okay, and then the knowledge variables, if we talk about the knowledge, and then we see that it's kind of less significant. I only show you this, I highlighted those significant effects or knowledge, different knowledge. So we have only the knowledge of soil, we have the knowledge of wildlife, and then pollinators are significant. But the interesting result, let me show you the next slide. This is more, as you can see, more significant comparatively speaking. So the perception regarding this, the FFL appearance, I'm sorry that we asked the question about, asked the agreement regarding those different, let's say the sustainable landscape practice. And then regarding this, if they agree, they will have like a 5, you know, if they don't agree, they will score 1. So in this sense that if they agree that they are concerning regarding the landscape appearance, they will have, you know, like a 2% increase of their likelihood to adopt the FFL. And then also if they are aware, sorry, that let me jump to this, if they realize their neighborhood has adopted this FFL, they will also have like 2% increase of their adoption likelihood. And then also like if they know, they are fully aware, they know that they agree with this FFL appearance, and then they will have 1.5% increase in this likelihood. So other, like we select a couple, let's say significant social demographic factors, and then we realize that the number of children and then the full employment and then also their education level makes a little difference. Okay, so in general, as you can see, we try to, you know, give you a quick, let's say that solution conclusions. So we understand that although it seems that awareness, knowledge are all making a difference, we will focus on this perception. And then if we can improve their perception regarding this, the sustainable landscapes, we will have the good, you know, the big chance to let them, to convince them to adopt this FFL. Okay, so in our opinion that we should more focus on this, first of all, this awareness through this communication plan, right? For sure, knowledge is also, you know, somehow it's still effective. So we needed to, you know, through this educational program to try to convince them as well. But more importantly, we needed to make the FFL and then also its benefits, including environmental benefits, its economic benefits, visible to the homeowner. So in that sense, that they will adopt this, you know, let's say more effectively, more likely. All right, thank you very much.
Time for a few questions.
Okay.
Just on the last slide, I did see the fertilizer restriction was in negative. So just curious if that's is that like a regulatory type thing? People want to do the opposite?
Yeah, I mean, this is so let's talk about the fertilizer regulation restriction, whether this is like the opposite way, right? So in my opinion, this we realize actually that if they agree with this fertilizer restriction, they should, right? They should adopt like this FFL. But unfortunately, in this case, it's slightly negative. And then I would say that this is a little bit out of our expectation. But I think they probably how say perceive this restriction a little strict or a little, you know, like too much. So that's my own opinion. So, yeah. Sure.
So I'm a little, I mean, with the knowing what we know from the literature, the awareness issues and things like that, I'm surprised that the percent increase is so kind of low. Is that an anomaly in the statistical model, or am I interpreting that incorrectly? Or and if so, if not, like, what would be something to do to push adoption of, like, people make that percentages higher? The percent, your effect sizes seem very low.
Yeah, so
2%
it's
likely to increase. I mean, that's important, but how do we get up to 30%?
okay.
You know what I mean? Like, where is that
Yeah,
anomaly?
try to talk about this. Yes, so it's about the awareness, right? Whether this awareness can
Well, just
somehow,
in general, all your effect sizes seem very low, and I'm surprised given what we know from the literature. So are they low?
yeah, I
Or is
mean,
it-
if the question is about the awareness.
Assuming you are reporting the percentages for the seventh, the highest
E.
item in the Likert scale, right?
Yes.
Adoption.
Yes,
70 strongly agree. Right, so you're reporting only that, that's right. So there are
Okay.
percentage increases for agree, slightly agree, strongly agree.
Okay,
Right, so this is here reporting only the last
okay, so
level.
it's just fine, I don't.
Yeah.
not get the
Yeah,
interpretation.
there is some other positive percentages, right?
Yes.
Before the highest
yeah.
level.
So actually the question is about this awareness, whether we can use this awareness to increase adoption likelihood. So this results only show us about the very, very likely. We have 7 scales, so 7, let's say, scores, and then this is the only the highest. That means if we increase the awareness, and then they will somehow like this is for the top likelihood, very, very likely that they will increase only 1.5%. But we also reported that in the study, in the publication, we also reported that the rest, like this, is this less likely or neutral or somehow likely. So in that sense, like this is we just choose the the far right-hand side, so that maybe it's the reason that it shows not
Okay.
that.
No, thanks, I'll look for it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.